It's my pleasure once again to address the important topic of leadership with results, the key to a culture of excellence. In another module, we discussed 4 of the 5 key areas that leaders with results must be able to measure and quantify. And let me just review those. Number 1, product and service outcomes. Secondly, customer outcomes. Thirdly, financial and market outcomes. And fourth, we talked about workforce outcomes. So now, let's talk about the 5th and most challenging results area, which is process effectiveness outcomes. In order to achieve success, leaders must learn to assess and evaluate their key operational performances that contribute to the overall improvement of the organization. Let me give you a few examples. The first and most important aspect of process effectiveness is your organization's core competencies. In other words, what is it your organization does, or what is its greatest expertise? This is a difficult question for most organizations because the answer I hear most of the time from clients is something like this. Well, we're such a great company, we can do just about anything. While that might be true, it is not a good answer, as I'll prove to you with an example. I think it is much better for your business, your university, your hospital, your government agency, or your nonprofit organization to determine what areas you excel. What are your greatest strengths? Then focus on doing those things better than anybody else. This is what will ensure sustainability and long-term relevance in your marketplace. Let me give you a positive example of how one organization faced the challenge of addressing and defining its core competencies. In 2004, the Kenneth W. Monfort College of Business, which is affiliated with the University of Northern Colorado near Denver, Colorado, won the Malcolm Baldrige Award, which is America's highest honor for business excellence. On its journey to excellence, Monfort College of Business had to make a difficult decision in 1984 regarding its core competencies. It was in 1984 that the University of Northern Colorado, or UNC as it's commonly known, took dramatic steps to make program quality its top priority. At the time, UNC's business program was generally regarded as average and largely overshadowed by a number of other competing colleges and universities within a 50-mile radius. While other colleges were deciding to expand the number of degree programs they offered, UNC opted to do just the opposite. UNC decided to make its business college Colorado's best undergraduate business program. So within 2 years, a revolutionary plan commenced for eliminating all graduate programs at UNC's business college, including a PhD degree program and Colorado's largest MBA program. Additional changes were made at the undergraduate level with the elimination of all but one degree program, the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. UNC's business college became known for providing a private school education at a public school price. In 1994, a successful businessman from Greeley, Colorado, donated over $10 million to UNC for its business college. His name was Kenneth Monfort. That's how UNC's business college became known as the Monfort College of Business. From 1984 to 1994, Monfort developed its reputation for excellence and raised a considerable sum of money from benefactors who believed in the new mission of the business college. It strengthened its faculty and course offerings. It built new facilities at its Greeley, Colorado campus. And eventually, Monfort's decision paid off. In 2004, as I mentioned, Monfort won the Malcolm Baldrige Award and gained worldwide recognition and respect. But it's important to remember how this transformation all started. Someone had the courage to ask two tough questions, namely, what are our core competencies? And secondly, what do we want to be known for? Now, the second most important aspect of process effectiveness outcomes is work process design. What this term, work process design, means is this. How is your key work accomplished? Work systems involve your workforce, your key suppliers and partners, your contractors, your collaborators, and other important components of your supply chain that are vital to producing and delivering your core products and/or services. Your work systems coordinate the internal work processes as well as the external resources necessary for you to develop, produce, and deliver your products and/or services to your customers, and to succeed in the marketplace. So let me give you a brief example of how this is done. And once again, let me use the Monfort example, talking about the Monfort College of Business, since you are already familiar or somewhat familiar with the school. As you can see from this list that was provided by Monfort College of Business, they have 7 key support processes. Number 1 is admissions. Number 2, career services. Number 3, college transition center. Number 4, their information technology. Number 5, the college library. Number 6, their advising center. And number 7, the UNC Foundation. Let's examine just 3 of these areas more closely: admissions, career services, and the UNC Foundation, so you can better understand Monfort's process outcomes as well as the requirements and measures for each process. First, regarding admissions, they focused on the accuracy of and ability to convey information to recruits or new students. And in particular, they focused on the number of applicants, the attendance at preview day sessions. They focused on the number of new students, the quality of new students based on their average ACT or SAT college entrance exam scores, and transfer grade point average, or GPA. Second, regarding career services, Monfort focused on quantity and the quality of employers recruiting on campus and the development of job search skills, in particular, the number of Career Advantage Program participants, and the number of recruiters visiting their campus and their career fairs, and placement rates of students in jobs, and of course, employer satisfaction. Thirdly, regarding their UNC Foundation, Monfort focused their efforts on ensuring continuity of their education process by raising the necessary funds to expand programs and services, particularly in the areas of efficient and effective accounting, effectiveness working with donors, the number of donor interaction opportunities, which really deals with the number of visits they have with donors, no financial audit problems, and the amount of dollars donated to Monfort College of Business. Monfort determines its key support processes by reviewing student and stakeholder requirements. The results of that evaluation effort identifies key support processes. Although most of the key support processes are external to Monfort, there is a great deal of teamwork and interaction between the college and providers of the key support processes. Monfort offers input to their providers regarding its needs and requirements for the support processes. Monfort also provides feedback to the areas which help them in their own evaluation and improvement cycles. For example, when Monfort assigned a staff member to work with the Facilities and Operations Department on an improved building maintenance process in 2007, the revised process led to 99 deficiency reports, with 28 of those deficiency reports corrected within 24 hours and another 45 deficiencies corrected within 14 days or 2 weeks. Today, a large number of the college's faculty participate in an admissions calling program, whereby they make telephone calls to encourage qualified. Monfort Dean also co-chairs the University of Northern Colorado's Retention Task Force, which further increases interaction with admissions and the Career Transition Center. Monfort works closely with Career Services to enhance the ability of business students to find employment after graduation or to gain internships. So these are all examples of cooperation and communication between Monfort and its partners in the key support processes. Now, let me give you a second example that this time describes a good company that drifted away from its core competencies and in the process lost its #1 ranking as the world's largest retailer. This company should be familiar to all of you. It is Sears Roebuck Company, at one time the largest retailer in the world. It was founded in 1886 by Roger Sears, who started selling watches on a part-time basis to earn additional income. A few years later, Mr. Sears hired a watchmaker named Alva Roebuck, and by 1895, the company was established and named Sears Roebuck Company. In its early days, the two men had a modest storefront in Chicago, but they only sold watches and jewelry. Eventually, Sears and Roebuck decided to create a catalog. They started filling its pages with tools and other items because, after all, you can only sell so many watches and rings and necklaces. As the catalog grew and expanded, so did demand for their items. Sears Roebuck Company was a very innovative business. For example, in 1911, the company launched its first testing laboratory. In 1916, the company created a savings and profit-sharing fund for its employees. It wasn't until 1925 that Sears opened its first retail store operation in Chicago. And 2 years later, Sears launched the Craftsman and Kenmore brands so that they could control quality and maintain a ready inventory of high-quality tools and appliances. In 1927, Sears established Allstate Insurance Company. By 1945, company sales exceeded $1 billion. Obviously, its founders and successors were very focused on growing its core businesses and mastering retail sales while venturing into certain related businesses such as life insurance and customized tools that were sold only in Sears stores. Consider the innovations in retail sales that Sears initiated in 1932. Sears established that year the store planning and display department. Now, before this innovation, merchandise had been fitted into buildings. Now, buildings were built around merchandise, and the store shell was built around the selling floor plan. In 1980, Sears Roebuck Company began a series of changes which the corporate office labeled as major restructuring. I think this is where Sears Roebuck Company began to move away from its core competencies of retail sales and drifted into uncharted waters. This major restructuring resulted in renaming the retail business the Sears Merchandise Group and the insurance business Allstate Insurance Group. When Sears acquired the Dean Witter Reynolds organization and Coldwell Banker and Company later that year, it formed the Dean Witter Financial Services Group and the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. In 1982, Sears formed a world trading company. It became Sears World Trade, whose activities were reduced and transferred to the Sears Merchandise Group in 1986. So having made all these major changes, within 9 years, Sears would come full circle and return to its retail roots. But in the process, Sears had to shed its unprofitable general catalog operations, spin off Allstate Insurance Company and its Dean Witter Discover Card business unit, and sell its Coldwell Banker Residential Services operation. When this was completed, Sears returned to its retailing roots and bought the sluggish retail giant Kmart in 1995. Now, I share this example with you because during the 14-year period from 1980 to 1994, Sears lost its retail focus, and as a result, it lost its #1 ranking in the world to Walmart, which continues to grow and expand today. Today, Sears Holding is ranked number 38 among the world's largest companies, earning just over $53 billion, while Walmart is ranked as the world's largest company with sales of more than $353 billion. I think the moral of the story is clear. You should stick to doing those things you do well. Stay focused on your core competencies and work to maintain and acquire your loyal customers. When you're focused on the 5 key factors of results, it's been my experience that good things will happen in your organization. I say this because best-in-class organizations know that by focusing on their key performance metrics and by continuously improving their products, services, people, and work systems, they will achieve better results. Let me conclude by sharing with you some thoughts on how you as leaders can improve your own performance and outcomes. I mention this because your organization is only as strong as its leaders. This is why it's very important to not only improve the systems and product side of your business, but also develop the capabilities of your leader. I recommend to my clients that they focus their leadership outcome efforts on the following 6 key areas. Number 1, strategic planning accomplishments. Number 2, ethical behavior. Number 3, legal compliance. Number 4, fiscal accountability. Number 5, social responsibility. And number 6, organizational citizenship. Let me briefly address each of these 6 areas. First, let's discuss strategic planning accomplishments. It is clearly the job of your leadership to formulate and develop and implement the organization's strategic objectives and action plans. But it is also the leadership's job to ensure that those strategic objectives are accomplished. And when the leadership regularly reviews its strategic plan and its progress towards achieving those outcomes, it is also important to make changes, refinements, and improvements along the way to ensure your company stays on course. Leaders do this by setting short-term and long-term goals. Leaders also establish key metrics to gauge the organization's progress at critical points throughout the year. Finally, leaders ensure that the necessary people and resources are in place and coordinated in such a way that everyone is working together to achieve its goals. The next 3 areas go hand in hand. I'm referring to ethical behavior, legal compliance, and fiscal accountability. Best-in-class organizations have in place clear guidelines for ethical behavior, and they enforce those guidelines by holding management and all employees accountable for their actions. This includes moral decisions, fiscal accountability, and other decisions that affect the interest of stakeholders and shareholders. In terms of legal compliance, it's important for your organization to address any adverse impacts your products, services, or operations might have on society. Leaders must anticipate public concerns about their products and services and operations. Are you in compliance with all laws and regulations? Is your organization doing the right thing at all times? Are you making decisions that may be legal, but they are harmful to the interest and welfare of the communities where you operate? This has been a major concern for Walmart as it moves into small towns and in the process causes the failure of the independent small businesses because they cannot compete on price and volume against the world's largest retailer. Certainly, Walmart's placement of a store in a small community may well be legal, but is it the right thing to do when small business owners will be forced to close their doors? These are the types of legal and ethical questions leaders must grapple with in terms of achieving results. These types of questions also relate to fiscal accountability because leaders have a responsibility to shareholders and stakeholders to strengthen their investment. At the same time, leaders must make the right legal and ethical choices in terms of making money and spending money. This raises a major concern in terms of supporting and investing in those communities where you make money. I have found that more organizations are stepping forward and accepting their social responsibility to improving the lives of people who work for them, as well as reinvesting in their communities. This includes spending money on supporting nonprofit organizations, to building recreation centers and parks for children, and even construction housing and healthcare facilities to ensure families have adequate housing and health care. I believe this is part of the social obligation that every company and organization has when it enters a community and asks its citizens to support its business, particularly if it is global. Perhaps this also explains why the green movement has gained such popularity in the last 5 years, as more companies realize it makes good business sense to go green and protect our environment and all forms of life. This is also a part of the obligation companies have in terms of their organizational citizenship. I've been very impressed with companies, as well as government agencies and universities and hospitals, that encourage their employees to donate their time and expertise to work with local schools, nonprofit organizations, and performing community service. Best-in-class companies give employees a few hours off each week for these types of community-building activities. I think it's a smart investment because it strengthens the reputation and image of those companies and organizations. So, there you have it, a recipe for success by focusing on results. When you think about creating a culture of excellence in the workplace, it's important to think in terms of what results do we want to create for our organization. By asking and answering this key question, you will ultimately come to the same conclusion I have. And that conclusion is this: results are achieved through leaders, and leaders always lead with their results. Thank you.